Most men don't lose in life because they're weak, unlucky, or untalented. They lose because they let their emotions run the show. That might sound harsh, but it's the truth most men avoid. One bad mood ruins a relationship. One emotional reaction costs an opportunity. One moment of anger, jealousy, or insecurity creates a problem that didn't need to exist. And over time, those moments stack up and quietly shape the life you end up living. When we talk about mastering your emotions, a lot of men misunderstand it. They think it means suppressing everything, acting cold, or pretending nothing affects you. That's not mastery, that's avoidance. Real emotional control isn't about killing emotion. It's about not being controlled by it. It's about being able to feel anger without exploding, desire without desperation, stress without panic, and confidence without arrogance. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men need to hear. If your emotions control your decisions, someone else controls your life. Your boss, your partner, your friends, social media, pressure, fear of rejection, all of it starts pulling your strings. You react instead of choosing. And a man who only reacts never builds anything solid. This is especially important today because modern life constantly pokes at your emotions. Notifications, comparison, disrespect, temptation, and endless opinions are always trying to pull you off center. If you don't learn emotional discipline, you'll always feel busy, but never feel in control. Welcome to the channel. This is a space for men who want clarity, strength, and self-respect, not motivation that fades in a few hours. Today we're talking about how mastering your emotions isn't some soft self-help idea. It's a practical skill that directly affects your money, your relationships, your confidence, and the way people treat you. When you control your emotions, you control your reactions. When you control your reactions, you control your direction. And when you control your direction, you start shaping your life instead of chasing it. Let's break this down in a way that actually makes sense. 1. Your emotions are not your enemy. Most men grow up hearing the wrong advice about emotions. You're told to either man up and ignore them, or you're taught to dump every feeling out without control. Both approaches fail you. One turns you emotionally blind, the other turns you emotionally weak. The truth sits in the middle, and this is where most men never get proper guidance. Your emotions are signals, not commands. They're information. Anger tells you a boundary was crossed. Fear tells you something matters. Desire tells you what you want. Stress tells you you're overloaded. The problem isn't feeling these things. The problem is letting those feelings make decisions for you in the heat of the moment. Think about how this plays out in real life. A man feels disrespected at work. His chest tightens. His ego gets loud. Instead of slowing down, he snaps back, raises his voice, or says something reckless. The result? He looks unstable, loses trust, or damages his reputation. The emotion wasn't the problem. Obeying it instantly was. A disciplined man experiences the same emotion, but he pauses. He notices it. He asks himself, what's the smartest response here? Sometimes that response is silence. Sometimes it's a calm conversation later. Sometimes it's walking away and making a strategic move behind the scenes. The emotion still exists, but it no longer controls the outcome. This is where many men get uncomfortable, because it requires responsibility. You can't blame your anger, your past, or how someone made you feel. Once you accept that emotions are internal signals, you also accept that how you respond is on you. That's maturity. And maturity is power. Another hard truth: people respect men who can feel deeply without being ruled by it. A man who stays steady under pressure stands out immediately. He doesn't need to dominate the room. His calm does the work for him. When others are reactive, emotional, and unpredictable, the man who stays grounded naturally becomes the reference point. Mastering your emotions starts with awareness. Notice what triggers you. Notice when your body tightens, your breathing changes, or your thoughts race. That moment is your window. Control doesn't mean suppressing the feeling. It means delaying action long enough to choose a response that benefits you long-term, not one that just feels good for 5 seconds. When you stop seeing emotions as enemies, you stop fighting yourself. And when you stop fighting yourself, you gain clarity. That clarity is what separates men who are constantly stressed from men who quietly move ahead in life. 2. Reaction is how men lose power. Power doesn't disappear overnight. Men usually give it away in small emotional moments they don't take seriously. A sharp comment gets a sharp reply. An insult gets defended immediately. A challenge turns into an argument. Every time you react without thinking, you hand control to whoever triggered you. Here's the part most men don't like hearing. The person who can control your emotions can control your behavior. If someone knows they can make you angry, insecure, or defensive, they can push you wherever they want. That's not strength. That's being predictable. Reactive men live in constant tension. They're always on edge, always explaining themselves, always trying to correct how others see them. This drains energy fast. Instead of focusing on progress, they're stuck managing emotional fires all day long. Non-reactive men operate differently. They don't rush to respond. They don't feel the need to win every exchange. They understand that silence, timing, and restraint are often stronger than words. When someone tries to provoke them, they don't see it as an attack. They see it as information. This person wants a reaction. And when you don't give it, the game ends. This doesn't mean being passive or weak. It means being selective. Not every comment deserves your energy. Not every challenge deserves your attention. Men who react to everything burn out. Men who choose their battles stay sharp. Another truth most men overlook: reacting feels powerful in the moment, but it weakens you long-term. You might feel justified, even righteous, but the damage usually shows up later. Damaged relationships, missed opportunities, a reputation for being emotional or difficult. Meanwhile, the man who stayed calm keeps his leverage. When you slow your reactions, you gain space. In that space, you can think, you can observe, you can plan. That's where real power lives. Life rewards men who respond with intention, not emotion. The goal isn't to become emotionless. The goal is to stop letting your first emotional impulse speak for you. Once you master that pause, you stop being pulled around by other people's behavior. 3. Calm men. Control the room. Walk into any room and watch carefully. The loudest man is rarely the most powerful one. The man who interrupts, over-explains, or tries too hard to be noticed usually feels the least secure. Meanwhile, the calm man, the one who listens more than he speaks, often ends up being the most respected without even trying. Calm is not a personality trait. It's a trained state. Most men assume some people are just naturally unbothered. That's not true. Calm comes from emotional regulation. It comes from knowing you don't have to react to everything immediately. When you trust yourself to handle situations without panic, your nervous system settles. People feel that. Men who stay calm send a clear message without saying a word. They communicate confidence, self-control, and stability. In work settings, they're seen as reliable. In relationships, they're seen as safe and grounded. In conflict, they're taken seriously. This isn't accidental. Humans are wired to follow the person who appears least threatened by chaos. Calm men also think better. When emotions spike, logic drops. Your brain goes into survival mode, and decision-making suffers. That's why emotional reactions often lead to regret. A calm mind keeps access to reason, strategy, and perspective. That's an advantage in every area of life. Another uncomfortable truth: people test calm men. They poke, tease, disrespect, or push boundaries just to see what happens. Not because they dislike you, but because they want to know where you stand. When a man stays composed and firm instead of reactive, the testing stops quickly. Calm backed by boundaries earns respect. This is where many men get it wrong. They think staying calm means staying silent forever or tolerating nonsense. It doesn't. Calm simply means you choose the moment and the method. Your response is measured, not emotional. Direct, not explosive. That kind of response carries weight. If you want more influence, stop trying to be impressive and start being unshakable. Calm men don't chase control. They naturally become the center because others adjust themselves around that stability. When you learn to remain calm under pressure, you don't just control the room, you control yourself. And that's where real authority begins. 4. Feel the emotion. Don't obey it. One of the biggest mistakes men make is thinking emotional control means not feeling anything. That mindset creates bottled-up anger, quiet resentment, and sudden explosions that seem to come out of nowhere. Suppressing emotion doesn't make you strong. It makes you unstable. The real skill is learning how to feel an emotion fully without letting it drive your actions. That takes awareness and discipline. When emotion shows up, most men either react instantly or try to distract themselves. Both approaches avoid responsibility. The disciplined man does something different. He notices what he's feeling and allows it to exist without rushing to act on it. Emotions rise fast, but they also pass faster than most men realize. Anger, jealousy, frustration, and fear all spike, peak, and fall if you don't feed them. The problem is that reacting gives them fuel. When you pause, the intensity drops and clarity returns. This is where many men struggle because obeying emotion feels honest. It feels real. But honesty without control isn't virtue. It's immaturity. Acting on every feeling is no different from acting on every thought that crosses your mind. Not everything inside you deserves expression. A man who can sit with discomfort has an edge. He can handle rejection without collapsing. He can face criticism without lashing out. He can feel desire without becoming needy. This kind of emotional restraint isn't repression, it's self-respect. Another important point: your emotions are temporary, but your actions create permanent consequences. One emotional outburst can damage trust that took years to build. One emotional decision can close doors you may never reopen. When you understand this, you stop treating emotions like orders and start treating them like weather. You notice them, prepare for them, but you don't let them dictate your route. Mastery here comes from practice. When something triggers you, breathe, slow your body, and give yourself time. Even a few seconds can change the outcome. That small pause is the difference between a man who regrets his actions and a man who stands by them. When you stop obeying emotion blindly, you start living with intention. And intentional men don't drift. They choose. 5. If you don't master yourself, life has a way of teaching lessons the hard way to men who refuse to learn them early. If you don't develop emotional control, situations will force it on you through loss, embarrassment, or repeated failure. That's not punishment, that's feedback. A man who can't manage his emotions often learns through consequences. He reacts emotionally in relationships and slowly pushes people away. He lets frustration control his behavior at work and wonders why he keeps getting passed over. He allows insecurity to shape his choices and ends up stuck in cycles he doesn't understand. Over time, life keeps applying pressure until something breaks or changes. You see this clearly in moments of stress. A man feels overwhelmed, disrespected, or uncertain about his future. Instead of slowing down, he numbs himself, lashes out, or escapes into distractions. In the short term, it feels like relief. In the long term, nothing improves. The same problems return, often bigger than before. On the other hand, men who choose self-mastery early move differently. When pressure hits, they don't panic. They narrow their focus. They handle what's in front of them instead of reacting to everything at once. They don't let emotions push them into impulsive decisions they'll regret later. This difference becomes obvious over time. Two men can start in the same place, with the same resources and opportunities. One reacts emotionally and burns bridges. The other stays composed, learns from setbacks, and adjusts. Years later, their lives look nothing alike. Here's the hard truth. Life respects men who respect themselves. Emotional discipline is a form of self-respect. It says, I'm in control of my actions, even when things are difficult. When you don't develop that discipline, life steps in and teaches you through pain, repetition, and missed chances. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be conscious. Each time you choose restraint over reaction, you strengthen that muscle. Each time you pause instead of exploding, you gain ground. Master yourself now, or let life do it for you later. Either way, the lesson will be taught. Here's a statement most men won't like, but need to hear. Your life is not shaped by what happens to you. It's shaped by how emotionally undisciplined you are when things don't go your way. That's uncomfortable because it removes excuses. It puts responsibility back where it belongs, on you. Mastering your emotions isn't about becoming cold, distant, or robotic. It's about becoming reliable to yourself first. When you can stay steady under pressure, you make better decisions. When you make better decisions, your life naturally improves. Your relationships get healthier. Your confidence becomes quieter but stronger. People start taking you seriously because you take yourself seriously. Most men wait for life to calm down before they work on emotional control. That's backwards. Life doesn't get calmer, you get stronger. And when you do, situations that once overwhelmed you start feeling manageable. You stop reacting, stop overthinking, and stop being pulled in every direction. This is something you build daily, in small moments, in how you respond to disrespect, in how you handle stress, in how you sit with discomfort instead of running from it. Those moments don't look impressive, but they compound. Over time, they shape the man you become. If this message hit home, I want to hear from you. Share your experiences in the comments. What situations test your emotional control the most? I read the comments, and I engage with you there because growth happens faster when men are honest about where they are. Remember this, when you master your emotions, you don't just gain control, you gain direction. And a man with direction is hard to stop.